Senator, Queensland has one of the largest renewable energy plans in the country. People are going to be looking to you as their state comes under threat from these monstrosities. What can be done?
We are already under threat. It's not that the threat is coming. And by the way, the level of expertise is such, Alexandra, that massive wind turbine complexes and massive solar panel complexes, industrial complexes, are blighting the landscape, and they're not even connected to the power grid. That's the level of thinking that these morons are coming up with. They don't care about the environment. You mentioned that this will be an environmental disaster. It'll also be a human disaster. What we can do about it is support the people who are now standing up and waking up to the transmission line fiasco, crisscrossing, that will crisscross our state if we don't stop it. The solar panels that'll devastate vast areas of productive agricultural land and prime rainforests and prime sclerophyll forest, and wind turbines that will destroy thousands of hectares of land, pristine creeks and rivers. I've been up to Chilumban site in near Ravenshoe, and it is absolutely heartbreaking to see what they've got planned. And this stuff will also have an industrial consequence in that our industry will be leaving us, because the more wind and solar, the higher the price of electricity. And that means we destroy our manufacturing sector, our exports. So this is an economic nightmare, an environmental nightmare, a human nightmare, and for wind turbines in particular, with impacts on the ears and physical health, literally, people getting really seriously sick from these, physically sick from these monstrosities. So what we've got to do is support the people who are now waking up and standing up, and we've got to highlight the cost, which is what I've been doing in the Senate with my team, highlighting the costs of these monstrosities. Everywhere in the world where solar and wind has increased in proportion, the cost of electricity has dramatically increased. A study of the Spanish use of wind turbines, yes, shows, and other solar panels in other areas, shows that for every so-called green job created, there are 2 jobs lost in the real economy, 2.3 actually. So we've got to stop this and reverse it very, very quickly, and we've got to talk about the realities that coal has taken us out of the dark ages, and that China is using our coal, plus they're mining 8 to 9 times the amount of coal that we produce, and they're building wind turbines with that coal, they're building solar panels with that coal, and they're exporting them elsewhere in the world, and we're subsidising them for doing it. It is insanity. What we've got to do is stand up and speak about the costs and the human impact, the environmental impact.
Well, just one quick final question here, Senator. The problem of wind turbines and indeed these giant solar farms, these are regional and remote community problems. They are impacting communities that have a very small voting base, who don't have a lot of power when it comes to changing the political narrative. They don't even have large social media presences in order to change the public perception. Is there any indication inside these political groups that are actually in control of the party, like Palaszczuk's Queensland government, for instance, that they recognise that they are causing these serious harms to regional communities, or is it still full speed ahead towards this massive industrial project that they have already greenlit for the state?
Well, the Palaszczuk government is an absolute wrecking ball. They're going to destroy the Pioneer Valley with their pumped hydro there. Barumba Dam in the Wide Bay area, they're going to destroy that with pumped hydro. Snowy hydro is turning out to be a massive disaster. It can never be economically viable, pumped hydro, except on very small, restricted locations. And what we're seeing is destruction of the environment. We're seeing the Palaszczuk government going full steam ahead because the Greens preferences are needed. That's how they buy Greens preferences. And I'm in the city here, I'm in a high rise, I'm looking out, and I can see West End and other places from where I am in this building. And we can see that the Greens will never see a wind turbine built in their environment. They will never feel the health effects, the environmental effects. We can see that it's people living in isolation from the reality, the Green supporters. But one way we can touch them, and we've noticed the Greens have fallen silent recently in debates, They have not warmed to the debate anymore about the rising costs of electricity, the impacts on humanity, the impacts on the environment, talking about the cobalt mines, the lithium mines, the impact of child labour in other countries to keep the EVs going, the wind turbines going. This is where we're going to win the battle, because the reality is the chickens are coming home to roost for the Greens and they're looking like turkeys.